Hello and welcome to Tarot and Stars for the week of September 12th. What a wild ride it has been, hasn't it? I hope that this Pisces full moon that came on Saturday was insightful for you because it was in the sign of Pisces and because Neptune, the planet that is aligned with Pisces, is also in the sign of Pisces. It exaggerates this emotional quality of this weekend's full moon. So I imagine that during this past weekend, you were able to tap into your feelings in a new way, feel a little bit more emphasized, because Pisces is this deep water sign, and it's also the last sign of the entire zodiac wheel. So it brings with it endings. And you know what? The full moon is always a culmination of whatever intentions, behaviors, or thoughts were going on the new moon before it. So Pisces in a full moon is a pretty spectacular way to visit some of the parts of yourself or experiences in your life that you are shedding and releasing. And there isn't really much to do on a Pisces full moon other than connect to spirit, connect to that deeper sense of yourself, your inner self that's also connected to all things and that understands the rhythm of life, that there isn't always a high and there isn't always a low. There's a infinite amount of emotions, feelings, and experiences. And sometimes as human beings, we forget that we cannot control everything. And Pisces is a teacher in acceptance. It's a teacher in learning to accept and eventually through practice, love what is here for you, what is showing up for you, and do a bit of allowing. Really bring in compassion for whatever is showing up in your life right now. Because Pisces is also the sign that contains all the other signs, and it is truly the full spectrum of human experience. And if anyone understands what it's like to be a human, it is the sign of Pisces. And so collectively, during this past weekend, we could tap into those deep, deep feelings. It is not an intellectual experience. It's a feeling, it's a sensation experience. So it is feeling deeply that which you love, feeling deeply your grief that may be held in the body. I don't know anyone that doesn't have something to experience grief over being on this planet. You know, we aren't here forever. We come for a very short period of time. It might feel like forever, but we're here for a blip. And Pisces teaches us that and reminds us of that, and that we can really pause and slow down and connect with this deeper, more spiritual essence that we have inside. It's not a shallow experience. It's not about paying bills or shopping or doing the laundry. Really, anything can be a spiritual, of course, but it's the deeper, why are we here? So there might even be some of you who are in this phase of looking for that next thing, coming into that next part of you as you come into wholeness and allow other things to come up and be released out. So on a Pisces full moon, there's a big releasing energy. There's a big endings energy. And last week for the Tarot and the Stars, we pulled together collectively because your energy, I draw upon your energy. So what the guides showed us was the Death card. And that truly is a surrendering of what came before. And we're coming into this next week and the full moon that just passed with Mercury, the planet of the mind, in retrograde. And the goal of it's not really a goal, but the energy that comes down that we can use purposefully is to look within and do a bit of reflecting. And that means that there won't necessarily be big actions that come after this full moon. What I mean is, if you had some sort of revelation on the full moon, something that you're releasing, there's not much doing upon the changing over of energies. Because now with the Mercury retrograde that we have, there's a time of self-reflection. And while you're self-reflecting, you're not necessarily building. It is time for a bit of patience and a bit of pause, and also trusting that there is a journey that you're on, and there's this marriage in our lives between our fate. And when I say fate, I mean the rhythm of the universe and the fact that each of us has a map. Each of us is reincarnated at an exact moment, at an exact location on the world, where the planets that were above you and below you when you were born lay out this map. And sometimes it feels like your ego might tell you that you're not where you want to be, or that you are not doing enough, or that you've made a mistake. When in reality, what's happening is we're living out a pre-planned map. That doesn't mean that we don't have free will, because we certainly do. And our mindset and our belief systems will help us break free of old programs and limiting beliefs. And a lot of that is timing that can't be controlled. So this is truly the lesson that I believe we're experiencing right now is, okay, there's a lot that I can't control. There's so much more that I can control. And the only thing I can control is what's coming through me and the choices that I make, and how I connect to myself and tap into myself on a daily basis. Every few hours of my day, how am I tapping into myself? This is the lesson of Virgo. How am I taking care of myself? What is sacred to me? What is divine to me? And what am I here for? What am I living for? And that's something that unfolds in time and can't be forced or pushed or timed up. It is a slow, sacred unfolding process. You're a rose, and the rose that you are has an infinite potential, infinite expanding all the way throughout the entirety of this lifetime. You will be learning new things about yourself. I don't care if you're 89, you will be learning new things about yourself. It is forever infinite. So here we are after this very deep, deep full moon, experiencing how we can tap into ourselves without trying to force any outcomes or changes. And that's also such a feminine quality. It's a yin quality. It's the quality of the moon. How can I be in flow with my life? What can I let go of? What can I soften into? What's rising in me that wants to be listened to and paid attention to? What little voices of love and of desire live within me that want to be listened to? And how can I honor those things within myself in my ever unfolding process? Now, what we're releasing, or basically how we got here in this position we're in September, the week of September 12th, is the Fool card. Now, the Fool card is, I am looking for new opportunities. I'm going to step into a new direction. I may not know what is on the horizon, but I know that I'm becoming new, and I'm open to that newness. I say, yes, I'm stepping into this next chapter in my story. And to have it in the position of, how we got here is, all right, here we are. We're new. We are not having all of the answers. And this is what the Mercury retrograde is here to support us in. It's okay that we don't have all of the answers, that we cannot control all of these outcomes, but to know how far you've come in your own personal journey, to reflect back on with, every planet almost is retrograde right now. So there's opportunity, should we take it, to reflect upon how far we've come and how much we've done and how much we've grown, even just in the last 6 months, even just in the last 3 months, there's been so much growth. And it might not be external, it might be very, very internal, where you may have had lots of beautiful realizations and insight coming in, and it's being integrated. And that integration process, especially since that first conjunction, North Node and Uranus, that integration process takes a while, and the stars are aligning in a way that are here to help us integrate into October. So we're going to have this integration period. You can think about it like a incubation period. Sit, reflect. There doesn't have to be huge things happening. And if you are someone who is in a very busy lifestyle, or you're taking care of a lot of things, or taking care of a lot of people, or you have a demanding career, mothers, I'm thinking about people that have a lot on their plate. It's that much more important. Not just mothers, you can mother anything. You can mother animals, you can have this career or this household that you're taking care of, or something that you're taking care of, or slowly building. It's even more important for you to pause and to take that time out to care for yourself. It's even more important to go to yoga, to hop in the on-demand library and do a quickie, a 20 or 30-minute practice, so that you can get back into yourself, to go into those magical meditations and do a meditation, so that you can create some space between you and the external world. Because this is incubation period, where pausing, quiet time with yourself is very important. If you have a desire to connect with a deeper part of you, I recommend grabbing a pen and paper and asking, what is rising in me? Asking that question, what is rising in me? What is falling away? Because that's part of the rhythmic process of our unfolding in this lifetime. And when you get your pen and paper, truth starts to flow out if you can allow yourself that space. And those two questions, what is rising in me and what is falling away, those two questions you can do once a month or twice a month on the new and the full moon, forever, until you're 115 years old and leave this planet. Just like nature, that's what we have, an expansion and a contraction. So if you're feeling discomfort in the process that you're in, the rhythm that you're in, do some allowing, do some softening, because you most likely are experiencing a contraction, which just means an inward pulling. And the advice right now is the Four of Swords. Now, there's a girl and she's resting in a nest with her heart, and it's very sweet. And the swords are your mind. Overthinking, thinking too much. It's not even about physical. It's not really about doing too much. It's about rest the mind. You don't have to have all the answers. In fact, you don't really want all the answers. You may think that you do, but that's not part of the journey. The teacher comes when the student is ready, and the information arrives when the human is ready. So there's some resting of the mind that's being called upon. Again, getting on your mat, doing meditations, doing something that will allow you to soften the quality of your thoughts, looking out at a beautiful scene like the ocean or the trees, or even laying down and looking at the sky, or standing and looking at the sky. These pieces of nature, of the cosmos, of Earth, are without an ego. They're without a overthinking thought process. And we are part of that. So when we tap into that nature, that's when the stillness comes. And you can even do that just with a breath in and a breath out, because we're sharing the oxygen with everything. So when we breathe in and out, and when we know that we're breathing in and out, we get tapped in to our natural quality of life. Okay, so this is the big theme. It's, you know, so much patience, so much tapping into the things that are not your ego. Now, your ego is very awesome, and you don't want to kill your ego, because your ego is your identity. And in order to do what you're here to do, you actually need the ego. You need to be able to say yes and say no and dress yourself. And you need to be able to know what you want and then take action upon it. You know, things that the ego supports you with. But it's a double-edged sword. It also comes with this protection, where the ego is always protecting and always looking for danger and always looking for what could go wrong. And for Virgo season, which we're in right now, that is elevated and heightened. Worrying. Have you been worrying at all? I know I certainly have. That is part of the ego. And this is why we go back to nature, because the trees do not worry when a leaf falls to the earth. The sand does not care that birds are walking on it and cracking shells on it. You know, this is all part of the ego thinking that if something goes awry, we're dead. And that is just false. It's just illusion. And that could be exaggerated during this Virgo season and with Pisces, with Neptune in Pisces right now, because that's also our fantasies, but it's also illusion, delusion, worrying. Worrying is part of delusion, because you are extricating your present moment into the future, and you are imagining something that is not there. All right, so we are in a process of loving what is here, or learning to accept. At least you don't have to love it. You don't gotta love it. All right, I'm going to open the chart for this week, and I'm going to fast forward it to the end of the week, because the end of the week is when we have a Venus-Mars square, and we also have a Saturn-Uranus square. So first thing I'm going to show you is, this is the planet Mars. Mars is in Gemini right now. So Gemini is the mind, overthinking. And Mars is how we exert our masculine energy, how we get what we want and do what we want to do and move forward and do this and do that. And Venus, which right now is in Virgo, bringing our awareness into how we fill our cup, how we make sure that we are full enough to be able to serve the world in the special way that we serve the world, and how we can be full enough to show up, how we want to show up. In what way? So we've got a square between Mars and Venus. So squares are usually a little bit challenging energy. It can feel, it's not so flowy. A blue line, a trine, is like flowy and harmonious, and it brings two energies together. And a square shows what could be out of balance. It shows, it could be frustrations. It could also be action, taking action. So in the frustrating part, Venus is the female energy and Mars is the masculine energy, or the male energy. Mars is the sun, and Venus isn't really the moon, but if you want to think about it like the feminine energy, you can. Venus, moon. Venus is what you love and what you adore and your heart's desires. And Mars is, this is how you're going to go get it. This is what you're going to do. So when we have a square between Mars and Venus, it could create a little bit of conflict between the male energy and the masculine energy and the feminine energy within yourself or in your dynamic relationships. Because Mars can also be that power, the power moving forward. And Venus just wants to relax and love life and chill and dance around and pick flowers and drink tea and just have a beautiful time. And Mars says, hey, we got to get up, we got to get out, we got shit to do. And especially with the Mercury retrograde, where you're doing this internal reflection, it could feel, you know, for some, it could feel like a little stuckness or confusion. And for others, it could actually be a creative process of taking this masculine and feminine energy inside of you, this creative energy inside of you, where Venus is creating and imagining, and Mars is putting it into action. And it could actually be a really awesome way to access your creative energies. So for those of you who are coming to the Magic and Soul Retreat this weekend in New Hampshire, we get a portal of creative energy, and I feel really grateful for us because we get to really thrive on that Mars Venus square is going to be great energy to do things like dance, art, creation, connecting. And I imagine that there will be lots of insight and maybe even some realizations about the feminine and the masculine that lives within you. And so for those of you who are, whatever you're doing this weekend, whatever your plans are, set yourself up for success and know that you get to choose how you want to use this energy. And it is creative energy. So set some time for yourself to do something that allows you to tap into that creative energy. It doesn't mean that you have to be an artist, like a creative person. It's a moment where you can tap into doing something that you love. So do something that you love this weekend. Let me say it again. Do something that you love this weekend. Do something that you love this weekend, because the energy is opening to it. Now, we also have at the end of the week, Saturn. Hold on a second. Sip time. We have Saturn in a square. So same kind of itchy energy, which squares can be conflict, and conflict creates resolution. Like, you got to know what you don't want in order to know what you want. So this is all good. So Saturn in this experience, you can think about it as your past. You can think about it as the old programs, the old authority. You know, you might even think about it like the government. I'm going to use the example of Queen Elizabeth passing. That would be Saturn, the monarchy, Saturn. And Uranus is sudden change, surprise, shocking events. She passes away. And the result of that is an old paradigm. She is the end of that old paradigm, the old paradigm being released. So Saturn and Uranus, this isn't the first time they've squared. And December of 2021 is when we first saw this, and it was such a big deal. It was such a big thing, the beginning of this. And what it really is on a large scale, it's the breaking down of the old ways of doing things. And Uranus comes in and it always shakes shit up. Uranus is the future. Uranus wants change. Uranus wants evolution. Uranus wants us to grow. So the old squared off with the new. We can't predict exactly how that will look because Uranus is unpredictable. So there's a bit of expecting the unexpected, just being open to unexpected things and knowing that when something occurs, we can bring that Piscean quality of accepting into it. And we can use that energy for our own personal growth. And when we are personally growing, we are domino affecting the whole rest of the collective, because energy is contagious. If everybody in a room is feeling good, that energy expands out. If 5 people in that room of say 20 are pissed off, everyone else is going to feel that energy. And if you're watching this, you're an empath, I imagine, and you have that intuitive quality. So you already know what I'm talking about, right? So expect change, expect the unexpected, and be open to it. And know that really on a greater scale, we are coming into this age of Aquarius, we are coming into this new paradigm. And that means that there will be some losses. Some of the older energies are going to be leaving the earth. Some of the energies that have completed what they were here to do and, fully close their journey will be leaving. And now we're in this really new space, which is the card pull that came out, that Fool that came out. We're somewhere new. And what is there to do about that new energy? Well, one thing is to be aware of how you go about your day, looking at what you perceive to be negative or what you perceive to be positive. And knowing that if you are putting your focus on what you don't like, the universe will gift you with more of what you don't like. And really, it's your brain in its wiring will gift you with what you are looking at. So instead, please connect to your gratitude and connect to your breath. And what we were sharing and talking about before, you look up at the sky and you look at the trees and you're connected to nature. You are nature. You are the trees. You are the sky. You are the earth. You are the mushrooms. Connect to all of that because it's part of you. And when you connect to it, you get harmonized in, you get coherent with it. So when think about it, like when you're feeling out of sorts or when you're feeling anxious or whatever the energy is that's moving through that, is just moving. If you're feeling those things, you are out of coherence with nature. You are out of coherence with your breath. You're out and you want to get into coherence. So how can you get into coherence with nature? That's what you want to ask yourself. What is rising? What is falling away? And how can you get into coherence with nature? What emotions do you want to cultivate to align with this moment of full moon in Pisces, now getting smaller and smaller and smaller, all the way into our new moon, which will begin our next cycle. And that's coming on at the end of September. So where in your life would it serve to slow down? And where in your life would it serve to connect with nature? Where in your life would it serve to slow down? And where in your life will it serve to connect with nature? And those are the little questions that I'll drop like a pebble into the pool, into the deep reserves of our consciousness, and we'll just let that ripple out, and the answers will come when we ask the right questions. Where in your life would it serve to slow down? Where in your life what is rising in you, and where can we show up in our lives with an open heart and with acceptance? I love you so much. I am so grateful for you. I am so excited for Magic and Soul, for those of you who are joining. And I want to open up spots for those of you who are in the Star Tribe to join for Abracadabra Astrology Program. This is a 9-week program where we're going to look deeply and thoughtfully and lovingly at your birth chart. And we will break down every single planet that's in there. So where your planets are and what houses they're in. And you're going to learn a whole lot about yourself and how to work with the energy that lives in your sacred blueprint. And we will also be learning about sacred mystical language translations, where from the past year, I would say, of some of what we've been sharing together, but the language that we were programmed with as children, just like the programs we were programmed with, stay small, don't do this, don't do that, listen to authority. These are programs. So we're walking around with old language programs, and these old language programs can be limiting our life experience and keeping us from the upgrade that we deserve, that is our birthright. And these things you've heard, some of them, like should, turning I should do this to I could do this, or I can do this, or I want to do this. Or noticing when you're using many negatives in your language. And there are so many more. That's just 2 of so many language upgrades, mystical translations, we'll call them. And so we begin October 9th. We're going to meet on Sundays. You're going to learn so much about your birth chart and really so much about yourself. And it is an incredible way to grow. It is an incredible way to experience the self-discovery and self-actualization that I believe all spiritual beings are seeking and desiring. So if not you, tell your friends. We have officially 1 spot, but unofficially, if you're in all access, tell me that you want in and I'll get you in. But officially, there's 1 spot left. So I love you, and I'm so excited to see you again. The next time we will meet live will be Monday, September 26th for the new moon in Virgo, at the end of the month. And that is going to be, we'll definitely do Kundalini again. We'll do spiritual practices to align with Virgo, Pisces axis. All right. I love you. You're amazing. Have the best day ever. Mwah. I will see you soon.